Do you hate Universal Audio? Have they pissed you off? Are Apollos too expensive? And is DSP irrelevant in 2024? If you answered yes to any of those questions, then you are my audience for the day. Welcome to the video. Hi, I'm Thorne. It's good to see you. Now, some of you are not going to like what I'm going to say in this video, but I'm making this video to dispel some of the misunderstandings people have about Universal Audio Apollo products, and hopefully help you understand how much of a good investment an Apollo audio interface could be for your studio and your workflow. You see, the Apollos feature a unique combination of technologies which are not found on other audio interfaces. Antelope Audio, for example, offer a poor imitation of UA's preamp modeling technology where they've just cut corners to try and replicate it. Credit where it's due, though, the preamps and the conversion are fantastic on their interface, but good luck trying to get the software to work, and the plugins are not remotely comparable. On the other side, you've got a brand like RME, who offer unrivaled and infinite routing flexibility unmatched on any other interface. Again, credit where it's due. But neither of these brands offers quite the combination of features the Apollos have. So let's dive into 4 reasons you hate Universal Audio. Reason 1, there's no audible difference in sound. Now, I've done many an audio interface comparison on this channel, and this is a comment I see regularly. For example, the Apollo Twin compared to the ID14 or Focusrite Scarlett. Audio examples of these comparisons are in each video. The video is linked in the description, and high-resolution copies of the audio files are hosted on my website for closer inspection. Now, if that's you and you can't hear a difference between the preamps in the raw audio files, that's fine, don't worry, but keep listening closely on good monitor speakers or headphones because there is a difference and it might just be a case of you need to tune your ears. The next comment is that the audible difference is not worth the extra £600 or £700. Well, maybe not on one track, however, if you extrapolate the benefits of that sonic difference over 30, 40 or 50 tracks in a recording, the differences will compound and become very audible. Even though it's not worth the price. I hear you saying, well, okay, that's your decision, but I don't think you're taking into account all the other features that come with the Apollo, such as their advanced preamp modeling technology. Universal Audio have analyzed classic analog recording studio equipment and created a unique preamp modeling technology called Unison. UA's Unison preamp technology integrates hardware and software to physically reconfigure the impedance and gain staging of the Apollo preamps to produce dozens of authentic sounding and affordable digital alternatives to classic studio preamps, channel strips and guitar amplifiers. For example, with an X8P rack unit, you can record 8 channels of Neve or API preamps. By connecting 4 X8Ps together, you could track through 32 Neve preamps at a fraction of the cost of a Neve console. The second reason I see people hating Universal Audio is they don't understand console. Console is UA's I/O routing and monitor processing application that works in tandem with your Apollo on your desktop. And this is where a lot of people get 2 things wrong. Firstly, they try and monitor through their DAW the same way they have done previously, and they get loads of latency and frustrated. Then they're like,
WTF is this? This device is supposed to solve my latency problems. Why am I still getting latency?
It's because you're still using software monitoring and or input monitoring, and with an Apollo, you're not supposed to do that. You need to turn all that off in your DAW. Turn off software monitoring, turn off input monitoring, and monitor through the Apollo using the console mixer application, which delivers sub 2 milliseconds of round-trip latency latency. Watch this tutorial on how to correctly set up console for monitoring in the description below. Secondly, people get frustrated because they don't bother learning how console works. Console enables you to process your input audio in real time with EQ, compression, reverb, and other effects, or through guitar and bass amplifier simulators, again in real time sub 2 milliseconds. This audio processing can be used for comfort monitoring whilst tracking for yourself or your artists, or printed with your audio as you record, saving processing time later. I have another tutorial on how to do this also in the description below. Investing a little time learning how console works will greatly improve your workflow and definitely improve your enjoyment of using the interface. With monitor processing in mind, this brings me to reason number 3 you hate Universal Audio.
DSP is irrelevant in 2024.
Now, there's been an alienating exclusivity around Universal Audio because their high caliber and expensive plugins previously only worked on the onboard DSP of the Apollo devices. This meant you had to own an Apollo, which made it expensive to access the plugins, and a lot of you have hated them for it. Go on, admit it, leave a comment. This has, of course, now changed for 2 reasons. Firstly, the price of these plugins has come down significantly because UA are aware they need to democratize the access to their high-caliber products. And as well, UA have released native versions of most of their plugins so anyone can access them and utilize their computer's CPU to use them. You do not need an Apollo to use the native versions of the plugins, which includes the Spark subscriptions. The DSP processing is, however, still very relevant for 2 reasons. Firstly, as previously discussed, the DSP processing facilitates the unison preamps and your comfort monitoring processing. This processing is not done on your computer. This only operates on the Apollo's DSP. Also, you cannot use the native plugins for this purpose because they work on your computer and the unison stuff and the monitoring processing happens on the Apollos. Secondly, you can use the UAD2 plugins in any mix or mastering session, and this processing will also be done on the Apollo, saving your CPU resources for other tasks in your DAW. Now, some people are screaming at me, banging away on their keyboard now, saying,
Yeah, but Apple Silicon computer's so good you don't need DSP.
Now, this is a fair argument to an extent, except therein lies its own problem. Because computing power is evolving, plugins are also evolving in complexity. Ozone 11 Mastering Suite, for example, is a hugely CPU-intensive plugin. Thus, the cycle goes. The more powerful plugins require more processing power, and it's a never-ending cycle of minimal gains. Now, often you'll find you still need all the help you can get when you're at the business end of a large mix, so if you can offload all your UAD plugin processing onto your Apollo and/or DSP satellite processing cores, you can free up the processing power for other needs in your DAW, like automation, and everyone loves automation. So this is a no-brainer for me, but what do you think? Leave your comments below. The 4th reason you hate Universal Audio is because you can't afford them. Yep, I said that. And I understand that. They're not cheap. Why would you buy an Apollo for £1,000 when you can spend £150 on the Focusrite Scala or £300 on an Audient ID14? Well, with respect to those devices, which are great in their own way, Apollos offer so much more, as I'm hoping you've picked up from in this video, but there's always more. They host a great headphone amplifier, the great sounding preamps capable of emulating Neve, SSL, API, Manley, Avalon, Helios and UA preamps, not to mention all the guitar and bass amplifiers. The monitor routing and processing is unrivaled, and the conversion is still better than nearly every other interface available. Up to 6 UAD2 devices can be daisy-chained together, combining I/O and DSP resources for an expandable studio ecosystem that grows as your needs evolve. No other interface offers this level of flexibility. Yes, many interfaces have ADAT inputs and some have outputs as well, but so does every Apollo. For example, the X8P hosts 8 onboard preamps plus 8 digital channels via ADAT, and all 16 of these channels can be processed with UA plugins on the input monitoring stage. This can also be printed, as I said earlier. So yes, I'm sure people are listing in the comments right now this $3,000 interface with better converters, or that $4,000 headphone amplifier that's better, or their £1,500 standalone preamp that sounds better. Obviously, specific products can do better things than the Apollos, but the combination of the high-quality features that the Apollos offer cannot be beaten, in my opinion, and I've tried nearly every audio interface. So I don't mean to have a go at anyone in this video. I hope it's come across that I want people to understand how an Apollo can be beneficial for your music creating career. I've placed links in the description to tutorials, comparisons with audio examples, and further content that may help you if you own or are considering buying an Apollo interface. I've been Ed Thorne. It's been emotional. I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.